Two words that are thrown around a lot nowadays in jiu-jitsu are system and dilemma. Now, when someone says dilemma, I often think of a situation where you don't want Marcelo Garcia to arm drag you and take your back. So when he goes for that arm drag, you put up your leg to prevent the back take, which leads to him entering into single leg X. If you want to take it a step further, you can use the arm drag to get your opponent to post and set up your shoulder crunch. And then as they're resisting the sweep, that's what allows you to enter into the legs. So kind of the classic dilemma that's portrayed in both of these scenarios is that if your opponent wants to defend your upper body attacks, they're going to leave their legs vulnerable. And that's how I think a lot of people see leg locks as a way to create dilemmas for their opponent. But just as we can play the Kimura and triangle off of one another to create a dilemma at the upper body, we should also be able to create dilemmas at the lower body. And in this video, we're going to talk about the dilemma that Craig Jones used to make his name in the world of jiu-jitsu. Now, we're not going to talk about Craig's famous armbar setup that he loves to pull off in training and has pulled off in competition as well. And we're also not going to talk about the discount that you can get on future kimonos and all of their customizable gear, because this video is about Craig Jones and more precisely about the entry he used into the legs very often, especially early in his career. The classic backstep entry typically comes from top half guard, where we free our knee like we're trying to pass the guard, and then backstep over our opponent's leg and enter into inside senkaku. Now, just a word to the wise, when you're doing kind of this old school half guard sweep from bottom, what I've found is that we need to make sure that we get a hold of this far leg before allowing their knee to come free. Otherwise, we leave ourselves vulnerable to this backstep. Another kind of classic entry is you pull their De La Hiva hook in farther than it wants to go as you backstep into inside senkaku. And sometimes when you get a hold of someone's leg, they're nice enough to thread their foot in between our legs, doing the hard work of the backstep for us. So the backstep is kind of the classic way to enter into inside senkaku. The second option we have is called spinning the leg, where we spin all the way around our opponent's leg and put ourselves in inside senkaku. And this can be done from bottom half guard, but it can also be done from top half guard as well. But the main focus of this video is going to be how we combine backstepping and spinning the leg to make our inside senkaku entries from bottom half guard very effective. And this is something Craig Jones used very well and displayed a lot, especially early on in his career. And the basic idea is we're going to start with the scoop grip on our opponent's far leg as we drive our knee shield across to their far hip. From this position, if they decide to reach for our body, they're probably going to fall over, making it very easy to spin the leg. However, if they put their hand on the mat to prevent themselves from falling over, we're going to pummel our knee shield foot inside as we backstep into the legs. So this is the basic dilemma we're creating for our opponent. Now, a few things they can do to screw us up is as we're spinning the leg, they can force us to roll over our inside shoulder. So now we're not in inside senkaku, we're in outside ashi. You can see Kieran really trying hard to roll over that outside shoulder, but his opponent forces him over the inside shoulder. And don't get me wrong, you can definitely be effective from outside ashi and even recover to inside senkaku, but because you have a scoop grip on this leg initially, you're not going to be able to go into a heel hook right away. So someone who's really good can force you to outside ashi and throw their second foot over right away to begin freeing themselves from your leg entanglement and entering into one of their own. And I'm sure Craig will tell you himself that outside ashi with a scoop grip can be a bit risky. So in general, when you're spinning the leg, try to roll over your outside shoulder. Someone who I haven't studied too much is Rafa Mendes, and I'm considering making my next video about him, especially since his student Cole Abate is trying to become the youngest person to ever win ADCC. So leave a comment down below if that's a video you'd like to see, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. But as you can tell from this video footage, Rafa Mendes was spinning the leg way back in the day, but instead of entering into inside senkaku, he takes his left leg in this scenario and threads it all the way through his opponent's legs, which results in him ending up in 50-50. Another thing our opponent can do to mess up this backstep spin the leg dilemma is take a scoop grip, because this scoop grip makes it difficult for us to pummel in our butterfly hook, which we'll need to do to perform the backstep entry. So this scoop grip basically limits us to the spin the leg option, which is a good option, especially when we're rolling over our outside shoulder, but it does make us a bit predictable, and when you're predictable, that's kind of a recipe for getting counterattacked. And also the scoop grip allows them to spin the leg themselves. So now we have to be worried about protecting our own leg as well. And if they do try to spin your leg from the top position, and you're quick enough to catch their leg with your arm, you can make it difficult for them to complete their spin and force them to outside ashi, where you should be prepared for them to either try to transfer to 50-50, attack an outside heel hook, or try to respin the leg one more time. Another thing they can do to screw us up is pummel in their butterfly hook, which really does put a damper on things. and can lead to situations where we're just trying to pull our opponent's leg over ours. And we can do clever things like take an arm drag grip to help us pummel our foot back inside. But at the same time, we need to make sure we're preventing our opponent from getting underhooks. Because as all of you Andrew Wiltsey enthusiasts know, this is a recipe for getting buzzsawed. And even if you do manage to enter into inside Senkaku, you're basically putting yourself into dope mount because they have the underhook and likely the crossface as well. And if you watch young Gordon spin the leg, you'll see that he rolls over his outside shoulder to enter into inside Senkaku, takes the underhook, and uses it to transition to the back. And you can see Gordon here off of a failed shoulder crunch sweep transition to an overhook on the far side. And I don't know if he was thinking of going for a sweep or what, but this overhook quickly becomes his opponent's underhook and crossface. And you'll notice when Gordon has his arm isolated from mount, he likes to straighten that isolated arm so that it limps out much easier when he's doing his kipping escape. And if we go back to this situation here, Gordon does the exact same thing. He straightens his arm and uses his legs to initially off balance his opponent and free himself from the crossface. So now his opponent is just kind of desperately hanging on to that arm, and it's only a matter of time before that limp arm gets free and immediately goes straight to the outside of his opponent's knee as he completes the back step. And there was probably a better way to present this to you all, but the point I'm trying to make is that Gordon's priorities were first to use his legs to help recover his upper body positioning. Then second, he entered into his attacking position. And the times where we get in trouble is when we have our priorities reversed and we try and enter into our attacking positions before freeing ourselves from their upper body control, which a lot of times leads to us getting all twisted up and smashed. So if we find ourselves in this position here, I really like this solution here, and I apologize it's a bit hard to see, but initially Owen's left hand is pushing his opponent's knee out for the initial off balance, allowing him to pummel his foot back inside. Then he transitions his grip to the outside of his opponent's leg, pulling it towards him while he completes the back step on the far leg. And this is a slightly different situation, but you can see the same grips being used by Jordan Hawley, where for the initial off balance, his left hand is pushing his knee to the outside, but then his grip switches to the outside of his opponent's leg when he starts to initiate that back step. And one thing that I just wanted to share with you all that are still here as a little cherry on top is that when you're doing the classic outside heel hook attack from inside ashi and your opponent starts to scoot away and free their knee, one of my favorite things to do right now is to use my reap leg as a hook on their far leg, basically like you're entering into a false reap, and then take a grip behind their knee. If your grip remains kind of shallow on their ankle, it can be a bit difficult to keep them from running away. But the grip behind their knee tends to be pretty sticky and will allow you to stay connected as they try and flee the scene. And you use this to backstep into inside Senkaku. So basically, as they think they're out of your initial attack, you're using it to set up your false reap entry. So this has been pretty much the only way I've found to reliably use the false reap in my game, but I'm excited for Craig's instructional coming out soon, and we'll be waiting for it to pop up on the daily deal. But in the meantime, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Say hi in the comments down below.
Hey buddy, where's my thank you wave? Give me that wave!
Consider checking out the links in the description for discounts on apparel and other ways to support the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.